everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be making the lovely button down gown we saw earlier. So I have my fabric. I'm making use of 4.5 yards for this style. So this is my fabric. This is going to be serving as the front first. So what I did first was to fold it on bias. So after folding it on bias, I'm going to measure it round. So what I meant by measuring it round is to measure from this tip down to the length that I have. I have about 66 inches. So from the tip of that triangle shape, I'm going to be marking my 66. And I'm going to be doing it round it like that. From the tip, which is here, I'm going to mark it like that till I get to the end of it. So this is it. So after getting the mouth, this is what it looks like. So I'm just going to drag this part downward now, so we can start with the gown. So the first thing I need to do is to mark where my shoulder measurement falls on. And the shoulder I'm working with is a shoulder of 16 inches. And 16 divided by 2 would give me 8 inches. So I'll look for where 8 inches falls on here. So this is where the 8 inches falls. And I'll mark it out. So I can cut it off. I'll come there and I'll mark my shoulder slope. So my shoulder slope of about 1.5 inches. Then I would mark my shoulder now, which is 8 inches. I'll mark my armhole depth, which is 8.5. Then on that point, I would mark my shoulder measurement of 8 inches again. So after getting this, I'll be inserting my bust measurement here. I'm working with a bust of 42. 42 divided by 4 gives me 10.5. So I'll mark 10.5 plus 1 inch for ease. That's 11.5. So I'll mark 11.5 here. Then I'll mark from my shoulder to waist. The shoulder to waist for this person is 17. Then our waist measurement is 36. 36 divided by 4 gives me 9. 9 plus 1 gives me 10. So I will mark it. So let's cut. Then this is the armhole part. So what I will do next is from this waist part, I'm going to follow the flare shape. So this way you have that fullness that you need on the gown. So now, having gotten the shape that we want, we'll come to work on this upper part. For this upper part, my neck wideness and depth is 3.5 by 3.5, or 3 inches by 3 inches. So I'm working with 3 inches by 3 inches. You can adjust your armhole measurement where necessary, and adjust it where necessary. Okay, so this is what we have now. Because this is the front, and because of the design of the gown, I'm going to be attaching my button stand. I'll make sure that I have an accurate length of an accurate center front, then I'll slash it open. So this is where will serve as my center front, and then we'll proceed to cut the back. So for the back, I have my fabric folded on bias too. So all I need to do is to take one part of the front and place. So after doing that, the only thing I'm going to do is to adjust the neck for the back. Remember, for the front neck, I did 3.5 by 3 inches by 3 inches, sorry. For the back, I'm going to be doing 3 inches by 1. So that's the only thing I'm going to be changing here. Then every other thing, I'm going to be cutting exactly the same way. So you need as much length as you can. You can use 5 yards for this style, because for me now, I'm going to be having a little bit of joining at the down part. So you need 5 yards for this, because mine is 4.5. So all you need to do now is to cut. So after this, you can see that the front and the back is ready. So we'll proceed to cutting the sleeve. So for the sleeve, I have to measure round this armhole first. This is 11 inches. So for the sleeve, I have my fabric here. Then it's unfold now. I'm going to be marking my 11 inches, and the length of my sleeve is 22. So I'll mark 23 for ease, and then I'll cut. So this is my 11 inches plus 1 inch for ease. Then I'm going to come out like this. After coming out like this, I'm going to mark, come this way straight. So by the time I gather and join near to the armhole, I would have a little bit of puff at the sleeve part. But if you do not want it this way, you can as well as just cut it straight. Or another kind of sleeve is you come down here by extra 3 or 4 and mark it upward. So depending on what type of sleeve or how you want your sleeve to look like. But for this particular tutorial, this is how I'm going to be cutting the sleeve. Then when we look at the sleeve, we are going to notice that it has a band, and this fabric is very stretchy. So all I'll do to get that band for now, I need a band to be, say, about 3 inches or 3.5 inches height. So I'll fold this into two for the two sleeves, fold it into two again, and then again. So I folded it into two first and another two again. So all I need to do is to measure 3.5 inches. After measuring that 3.5 inches, the round sleeve is actually 8.5. So I'll measure 8.5 divided by 4 will give me say 4.25, plus half inch will give me 4.75. So I'll measure 4.75 at this upper part, and then I'll measure 4.25 at the lower part, and then I'll cut. So this is what I have. When I want to sew, I will just close up this place, turn it out, and attach the sleeve to it. So the sleeve is ready. Okay, so having cut the sleeve, the next thing I considered cutting was the belt. So for my belt, at the waist part of each of those gowns, we'll have a belt on both sides that you can tie towards the back. I did this belt about 30 inches by 4 inches. So I'm going to turn it. I have two, so it's going to be on both sides of the waist. So I'll lay it aside. Now for the design on the center front, I'm going to be using a flounce. Now, due to the way this fabric is, the fabric is going to serve as the main design, and I'm going to use the lining to turn it as a lining too. So that's why I have my fabric. I have 4 pieces of fabrics here, 2 pieces on folds for left side and 2 pieces on folds for the right side. So what I will do is to cut a flounce. So I have the middle part, which is 8, and I have about 8 inches again. So my flounce is going to start from the middle of this place. I would mark about 2.5 inches here, or 3 inches. Let me use 3 inches. So this is where my flounce is starting from. Then I will just continue like that, 3 inches. I will just continue 3 inches, 3 inches, I'll keep blending like this. Then this is 3 inches. Just like that. I'll keep marking the 3 inches. Then after this, I'll connect it. Then I'll mark my 3 inches till I think I'm okay. So this place is fine. After that, I'll start cutting my flounce out. So after this, I'll keep following the shape round. So this is what I have that will serve as the flounce for the left. So I will turn the mouth of this together to become one, the mouth of this together to become one. So I'll lay this aside. I'll talk about my button stand. I have a long strap that I'll be using to insert on the button stand. Depends on you. I have stay already on this. I doubled the stay because this fabric is quite stretchy, so I'll be attaching the button stand. So after this, before we get to this, I'm going to take the front. I'll lay the button stand aside now. I'm going to take the front part and the back part. I'll join them together on the shoulders first. After joining them together on the shoulder, on the front part of this dress, I'm going to mark where I want the flounce to be. I'll place my flounce there and place my flounce design there. Then I would insert my belt on the waist part. I would close it. After closing the side seam, I would come and show us what it looks like. Then we'll talk about fixing the button stand for this dress. Okay, so I've fixed the side, I've fixed my belt, I've hemmed the down part. I closed the side by 1 inch. So I have my flounce already turned. I turned it already, then I top stitch here. I have two of it already. So what I'll do is to mark from my shoulder to the waist, because that is where the flounce stopped. So that's 17. Shoulder to waist, 17. Then I'll come down from this neck by 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch from the neck. So all I need to do is to pleat this flounce on from this 1.5 to this waist part. So I'll pleat and I'll pin. I'll just continue pinning it and pleating it and pinning it down. I'll do that continuously till I get to the waist measurement or to the waistline. So this is what I have. Having done this now, I will just go to my sewing machine. I'll top stitch it. After top stitching, so let me keep this aside now. This is what I kept for my button stand. So after top stitching the flounce on the center front of the gown, I will divide this button stand into 2 equal halves. In total is 5 inches, so I'm dividing it into 2.5. So my button stand at the end of the day would be about 1.5 inch. So I have 2.5, 2.5. So all I need to do is, after top stitching this very well, I'm going to use this and sew as a band straight down to the end of this gown on both sides. So that will serve as my button stand. And after that, I will fix my sleeve. For my sleeve, we already cut the sleeve down. So I'm going to get the band part. I'll first of all close up this part by 1/2 inch, then turn it out, then gather this hemming part, sew it together at the side, and then fix the band to the hemming part for the down part of the sleeve so that we can have that puff we need to have. So after doing that, I'll fix it to the armhole of this gown, and then I'll come back to the cutting table, so we'll talk about the collar. Okay, so I'm done. I've fixed the sleeve. This is how the sleeve looks like. Now this is the flounce on the dress. This is how it looks like when we are fixing it. I'm using a press button first, straight down. So by the time we button down to the end, so this is what we have for now. So as you can see, the only thing that is left right now is the collar for the dress. So what I'll do is to measure round the collar, round the neck of the dress first of all. So round the neck gives me about 9 inches. Okay. So what I'll do, I have my paper here. I'm going to draft the collar. So I'm going to be marking the collar height, the round neck divided into 2. I'm going to mark the 9 inches. After marking my 9 inches here, I'll mark the height. I want a height of about 1.5. Then I'll use my scissors to cut it out. Now for this type of collar, this is the kind of collar I love to do. I will divide my collar into 5 places. So this is 1, this is 2, masking tape. This is 3, this is 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'll mark 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then I'll mark the upper part of this collar. The idea of this collar is that the upper part is going to be a bit smaller, while the round neck will still be maintained. So I would cut it into, I'll cut it out. This is masking tape. So after cutting it out, I'll come to the upper part of this neck. I'll mark 1/2 inch. I will only end up overlapping just the upper part by that 1/2 inch, but the down part will still, measurement will still be retained. Overlap only the upper part. I'll come to this part too. I'll overlap by 1/2 inch, and I will mark again. I will overlap by 1/2 inch. I would mask, and I'll overlap by 1/2 inch again, and I would mask. So after doing this is the neck I'm going to use. This is what I'm going to use to cut the neck for the gown. So I have my fabric here. And I have this. All I need to do is to place this and cut. So I'll cut out another one of this. You can see the shape. You can see that it's round, just as the neck, not just straight that you just insert. So I'll cut 2 of these, put my stay on it, sew it around the neck of the gown, and show us the final outcome.